Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another fantastic episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. Now, good work is not limited to the confines of Foxborough, and I think that's what we're going to learn today. There's an organization called Worthy Village. What we're going to do today is meet the primary leaders of Worthy Village, see what they do, and hear about how we can perhaps support them. So first of all, let me say hello to my new friends. Amanda, how are you doing? It's so nice to meet you. And you are the CEO, Julia. You are the CEO, Julia Rayberg, of Worthy Village. Yes. Is it Worthy Village or worthyvillage.org?
Worthy Village.
Worthy Village. So tell me what Worthy Village is.
So Worthy Village is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to build pathways out of poverty for women and children in Guatemala by providing economic opportunity, healthcare, and education.
That's a mouthful.
We do a lot.
That is not your normal group here in Foxborough. Welcome then. Welcome. Do you live in Foxborough? Or are you regional or?
I'm actually from the South Shore.
Okay.
We both are.
Fantastic.
But so I live in Guatemala.
Excellent, excellent. And then you are the person I said the name of first. So
how
are you doing?
Hi.
You are the vice president
Yes.
of the organization, of course, Amanda Landgren. How are you doing?
Good.
And so the two of you together are part of Worthy Village, and when you're the CEO and the vice president, does that mean you started this organization? Did you fall into this? What's the story?
I kind of fell into it. Julia founded it. She can tell you a little bit about the founding story, and then I can tell you how I fell into it.
Well, let's hear how you fell into it first, because I think that'll then lead us to want to hear about the story itself.
Sure. So a couple of years ago, I was doing some volunteer work, well, not volunteer work, but some work in Mexico. I was working in Chiapas, and I just loved the work that I was doing. And I came home back to America, and I really was just kind of looking for another way to get involved, doing something similar. And I also teach at a high school. I teach at Rockland, and Julia is a Rockland grad. So one of my friends turned me on to what she was doing, said you should go check it out. So I called Julia, and about 36 hours later, I had never met her before. I was on a plane to Guatemala. I think she thought I was insane.
But I loved her.
And then I saw everything that they were doing, and I was just so blown away by how, sustainable and grassroots and community-driven everything that Worthy Village was doing was, that I just kind of devoted every spare minute of my free time to it.
Wow.
And here I am.
Wow, it's great to be able to believe something so strongly you're willing to take that plunge. So good for you
just
for
jump
doing
right
that.
on that plane.
That's a lot of trust, and I guess the trust has been repaid. So,
absolutely.
Julia, you have this mission, it sounds like. So you live in Guatemala.
9 months of the year.
Okay, and so you said what Worthy Village is, but what is it really trying to accomplish?
Well, that's a great question. We recently just acquired a medical branch, so we're doing a lot outside within our wellness center. So we have a location in Panajachel, Guatemala on Lake Atitlan. We provide psychiatric care, social services, medical lab services, all on a donation basis. So we turn no one away. It's a what you can give donation basis. So we can do we provide a variety of different services to the communities. But we also do a lot of outreach, so a lot with clean water, food security. Just to paint sort of a picture, a typical family is living on about $1 to $2 a day. It can be a family of 8 to 12 living in a one-room shack, no bathroom, no door, no running water, no food. So you can just imagine what sort of situations that we run into. But overall, we're trying to build sustainable pathways out of their situations. So not necessarily just giving handouts and making the communities rely on the organization, but more so empowering them and giving them the tools that they need to sort of lift themselves out of the situation.
I think that's the key tenet of any support organization is not to care for, but to allow somebody the opportunity to care for themselves.
Absolutely.
So good for you for recognizing that. But here in America, we take these things for granted. We have healthcare, we have services, we have running water, all these things. What have they done wrong in Guatemala? What's going on down there? Why can't they be just like us?
Well, it's certainly like a whole host of historical issues and political factors and environmental factors that go into it. I mean, if you look in the history of Guatemala, it's a history of a lot of pain and tragedy and suffering and civil war, and certainly there are some areas of wealth and running water and all the things that we have, but there, just like America, there is also many areas of crippling poverty. So certainly that's a very hard question to answer. It's a very complex question, but there's a whole number of factors going on there. The population that we work with is mostly indigenous women and children, and the indigenous population of Guatemala has been systematically kind of pushed out of society for decades, very unrecognized there in terms of governmental aid and things like that. So oftentimes you need an outside actor to come in and kind of give a leg up. And the thing that I loved about Worthy Village when I first kind of started working there was seeing how it's not Julia or I doing the work, it's really the people of Guatemala. So the people who are running our programs on the ground are 2 indigenous Mayan social workers from the communities that we work in who are actually helping us to develop programs that target everything in a culturally sensitive way in that specific population.
As well,
absolutely.
Because it's them helping themselves and being given the opportunity.
Yeah.
So we talked about Guatemala. How did you get interested in Guatemala as a destination for this program?
So when I was 19 years old, I went on a service trip through UMass Dartmouth, where I graduated from. And I had traveled a lot growing up, but I had never seen extreme poverty. You can hear about it, but until you're put in front of it, it affects you in a huge way. So I went on a spring break mission trip, I guess you could say, and I was exposed to living conditions that impacted me in a huge way. I came home with a new peace in my heart. I couldn't walk away and not do something about it. I was studying business in college, and my entrepreneurial mind started going, how can we support these communities in a way that's going to actually help them out of their situation? So we decided to partner with some artisans, and we were selling their products to some stores here in the States, allowing the women to have a sustainable source of income. We had some extra funds, so we started developing small programs to support the communities. Those programs grew. In November of 2014, I believe in my junior year, is when we registered the organization, recruited a board of directors, and we've just run full force ever since.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So and by the way, I'm going to give you contact information in just a second, so get your pencils out, and we'll be right there with it. So the Worthy Village started off as a way to help get indigenous people's wares and textiles and crafts to market in America?
Yes.
Okay, and then have the proceeds returned back to support.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's where we began. So now how do we get into mental health services? Your path has
we're doing too much.
Your path is like this. I love it, by the way.
Yeah, you realize really quickly that providing a family with economic opportunity does not cover all the bases. Unfortunately, you really need to meet health, education. You need them to have access to clean drinking water before you can address anything else. So when you're working with families in the most severe situations, when a child is on the floor and unable to stand up because they're so severely sick without access to clean drinking water, you can't send that child to school. And it doesn't matter if, mom has a few extra dollars in her pocket. She still needs to cover all sorts of different expenses. So you really need to make sure you address the basics first, So clean water, health care, and then also mental health.
Yeah, in terms of mental health, there's so many kind of deep-seated traumas that you see that go along with extreme poverty. Anxiety, depression, addiction.
Alcoholism is huge.
Yeah, alcoholism is a huge issue that we see there. And certainly we can't expect someone to push forward with their life fully, even given all this economic opportunity and education, unless their whole person is cared for. And I feel like that's been one of our most successful programs. We recently just hired, we just acquired this clinic, and we have a psychiatrist, we have social workers working with the families and addressing just the whole person and the whole need. Yeah, which has been incredible.
And it sounds like you're bringing the one thing that was missing, that's hope. Something for an opportunity for a future. So
yeah,
good for you.
absolutely.
Good for you. I'm speaking with Julie Rayberg and Amanda Lanigan. They are the CEO and Vice President, respectively, of Worthy Village. Worthy Village. You're going to correct me in a second, so don't even start. I'm going to get out here. They are a way to They are a business that helps indigenous people of Guatemala get their products to market, and then turns around and helps the people in Guatemala have key services that we here in America take for granted. Is that fair enough?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Nice job.
Good work.
I'm paying attention. I
You're
hope you
hired.
are.
Yeah,
I'm hired. Well, let's see if they can hire me to help spread the word. I'm going to do that by saying you can learn more about Worthy Village by going to www.worthyvillage.org. They are a 501c3 charitable organization. Any donations to them would be tax deductible. We'll talk about that in a second. You can get a hold of them on email at info@worthyvillage.org. That's info@worthyvillage.org. You can also be their friend on Facebook. I'm going to be their friend shortly at Worthy Village. Or you can follow them on Instagram at Worthy Village. You can see pictures of the good work that they are doing and learn more about the stories of the people behind the products that they sell. So from a retail standpoint, wow, I'd love to have something from Guatemala that makes a difference. I'd like to have my holiday shopping go to a good cause. I'd like to have my consumer dollars spent in a way that makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Is this a way to do that?
Yeah.
It is a way to do
Absolutely.
it. Online. You can buy online.
Yeah.
And is that all at worthyvillage.org?
It is.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
And if anyone wants to purchase some stuff in person, we have a fundraiser coming up on November 30th in Braintree, and we'll have a whole cute little pop-up
Boutique.
shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
November, is that the South Shore Plaza, or where is that at?
No, it'll be at X1 Racing in Braintree. It's on Wood Road. And
We're
that's
all
a great
familiar with X1 Racing in Braintree, are we not?
Yeah, everyone I'm
up
sure
behind
is
Herb
a
Chambers
regular.
Ford, you just go on up that road, and there they are.
Perfect.
Outstanding. So
yeah,
that's on
so-
November 30th.
Yep.
And if we miss that, then we can all go to worthyvillage.org and we can find more. And the products that you sell, what kind of things are they?
There's so many things that are coming out of Guatemala that are just so beautiful. We have purses. We have these like kind of larger weekender bags that are good for luggage. We've got textiles. We've got bracelets,
Scarves and
ponchos, hammocks.
That necklace?
Yeah. No.
No?
Well,
I know we should have been representing tonight.
I know.
It's
Should have
all
worn my
good, though.
poncho.
We usually are.
Did you just say hammocks?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
hammocks.
hammocks
I
are a
love
big
hammocks.
hit. Yeah.
We love hammocks
Hammocks
too.
are big. And remember, summer will be here shortly. That 2-week window of spring.
Where you can
it's-
actually use a hammock.
That's right, here in Massachusetts. So the worthyvillage.org has a lot of wonderful gift ideas for the holidays, so you should take advantage of it now. When I buy a hammock, I love this. When I buy a hammock, what portion of the proceeds would go towards the Guatemalan people that produce it?
So the women would receive about 50 to 60% of it, and the rest goes to programs.
That's an awful lot.
Yeah, and it's so much more.
Much more than what.
And the
I
rest
would have
goes to
thought.
programs.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
how do you?
Well,
How does Worthy Villages sustain itself?
we have other streams of revenue. We bring about anywhere from 200 to 300 volunteers from the U.S. down to Guatemala annually. They do pay a fee. We organize the entire trip for them 1 week. They work very hands-on in very hands-on sustainable work situations within homes, within families. They provide clean water to a few hundred people during that week. They get up in front of classrooms. It's a life-changing trip for them, but it also is a way that we are able to fund our programs.
And we're going to be seeing a short clip at the end of this program,
Yes.
and perhaps we'll get to learn more about that. So I don't want to give away too much in the clip, but I
Yep.
will say that if people want to join that cause and be part of that mission, can they do that also by going to www.worthyvillage.org?
Absolutely.
There's a tab that says volunteer trips, and we have a list of all these different trip dates that people can hop on. And also, if you and a couple of friends want to plan your own trip, we're ready to help you out, figure
Fantastic.
out everything
We'll do
for
a
you.
private trip for a group of
Yeah.
10. So
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you still teach in Rockland?
Yeah, and I actually bring a group of high schoolers down to Guatemala every year.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's their parents thank me because they say they're like, oh, they've transformed into these new children. I'm like, okay, well, they also helped a lot of people. So
Well, and it's interesting you say that because that's how you created this,
Exactly.
and then you began because you did some mission work in Mexico,
Mm-hmm,
and so there is truth to this whole. You have to be exposed in order to learn
Yeah.
what your true life path is. So.
And definitely as
Good
their
for you.
teacher, I definitely see them, their life paths just change. They go from saying, I want to, do this job to saying, I want to be a social worker, I want to be a nurse, I want to help. So it's really been this beautiful, ripple effect
And
for
we
sure.
have a huge percentage of volunteers return. We've had volunteers just in the past few years of running these trips come back 4, 5, 6
Really?
times.
Yes. sometimes
It's
for weeks at a time.
life-changing. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, that sounds like a very worthy cause, and we are so close to being out of time. I'm going to give you the last word, but I have a few more questions. So then, with this influx of money coming back in, you say you bought a clinic.
We acquired a clinic.
You acquired a clinic. Sorry, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, but you acquired a clinic. So not many retail outlets acquire clinics. That's very noble. But the question is, how do you see this expanding or growing or meeting the needs? Do you really think this is going to make a difference?
Oh, absolutely, without question. So our shift really did focus from primarily focusing on retail to focusing on sustainable program development. We were approached by a few doctors that were already running this facility, running the clinic. They saw that our work was very grassroots. The partnerships that we had within communities with community leaders, our programs were working. They were grassroots. They were sustainable. They were meeting the need, and we had great relationships and respect from the communities. They approached us and said, would you acquire us? Will you administer our clinic? So we've arranged some, our legal documents and all of that good stuff, moved our offices into the facility, which was donated to the doctor. And now we administer all of the services that are provided within the clinic, and it is now the Worthy Village Wellness Center.
How wonderful is that? Because and the key here is that they had the services in place, but they didn't have the funding for it, and they couldn't sustain it. You have a funding mechanism, and you clearly are of that mindset where you can see the connection.
Yeah, it's a very sustainable business model that allows us to have revenue sort of coming in pretty regularly, so that we can fund our programs rather than rely on grants.
I'm speaking with Julia Rayberg. She's the CEO, and Amanda Lanigan. She's the Vice President of Worthy Village. I'm going to ask you both. You both get the last word here. You can split the last word, but we'll get to that. But Worthy Village is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. They bring Guatemalan indigenous peoples products to market here in the United States. You can find their information at www.worthyvillage.org. Do your holiday shopping there. You can do your year-round shopping there, of course. You don't have to just wait for the holidays. Lots of great activities, including hammocks. So if anybody has me on their Christmas list, you know what you can do for me. But that's beside the point. Worthyvillage.org is also the site that you can go to if you want to learn about volunteer opportunities, if you want to learn about how you too can go make a difference, be part of the mission of Worthy Village. They have acquired a clinic. And what city is this in Guatemala?
Panajachel on Lake Atitlan.
What she said. And so that is a wonderful way for you to make a difference, and maybe you can take your vacation this year and put it to a good worthy cause. You can also get information directly by going to info@worthyvillage.org. You can follow them on Facebook and see all the good work they're doing, or be their friend on Instagram. Go to Worthy Village in the search bar and be their friend and follow. So, Amanda.
Yes.
Teacher in Rockland.
Yes.
Making a difference in Guatemala.
Trying
to make a difference in Guatemala. How long have you been doing this?
How long have I been working with Worthy Village? What is it?
2 years?
2 years. 2 years now. Yep.
And I've been teaching for.
Would I have changed anything?
From getting on that airplane 36
hours? Oh, God,
hours?
no. It honestly, that's why I can't stress enough to jump on a volunteer trip with us. It literally changed my life. It changed my entire life direction. So I don't know. It was such a great experience, and it's really hard to describe in words what it's like to go down there and work directly with communities. The people that we work with have become some of my best friends.
Really?
So yeah, it's awesome.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, you've changed her life, and you're changing other lives.
She's changed mine too.
I was just going to ask. So, Julia, you clearly have a lot in the works. Worthy Village is such a wonderful organization. By the sounds of it, I can't wait to see if people can help out and support. What would you want us to know the last thing leaving?
Okay, I'll make it fast, but it's important. So
you've got plenty of time because this is your show.
So if you want to impact a family's life in a huge way, $60 will provide a family with sustainable access to clean drinking water. You can go on the website and go to Clean Water Initiative, and for just $60, you can give a family sustainable access to clean drinking water through a Sawyer water filtration system that we will bring to their home, manage, and oversee their usage of it. Also, we have 1,000 people approximately enrolled in our family sponsorship program right now. Families in the most extreme need. So they're living on about $1 a day, 10, 12 in a one-room shack, no bathroom, just really terrible conditions. The children are sick. They need access to clean water. They need access to health care, and they need access to education to get them out of those situations. We have hundreds of families who have qualified for the program, profiles that are just waiting to receive a sponsor. You can sponsor a family for $30 a month.
And it's life-changing.
And it changes their life in a huge way.
Only $1 a day?
It's only $1 a day. And they have full access to our wellness center, psychiatric care, social services, food every month, medical
Water.
care. And if you'd like to gift that to a family member as well that you may think would be interested in that, they receive monthly updates. They just sign up with that email address or just email us directly. We'd register them, but they receive photos and updates of the family monthly. And for the family, it is, I cannot put it into words. It's huge.
Yeah, we actually had a sponsor a couple months ago donate a bed, and the thank you letter from the family was just so touching. They said, before we were sleeping on the floor, now to sleep in a real bed is going to be like a dream. The woman said, I wish I could come to America and hug you. My family all want to hug you, and we just feel blessed to know you. And just to
And there's half a dozen or more of them in one bed, and they're so grateful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do with a very little amount. We go to dinner and we spend $60, just two people, we don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
So
And that would literally double the income of the family.
yes.
Isn't that amazing, though? And that is, again, we're talking about holiday gifts or something that you can do to be sustainable. That is a wonderful way to make that difference. So,
Thank you for having us.
well, thank you for being
Yeah.
here. Thank you so much.
so
And
great.
I hope you folks in TV land have heard this message and can think about supporting Worthy Village. It sounds as though their cause is overwhelming, but I don't believe it is. They clearly have a path, and they are making a difference in the lives of children and families in Guatemala. And by your support, by either buying a product, buying something online, a water filtration system for only $60. Again, we go to the restaurant, that's what we drop in a meal or more. Or sponsoring a family for the year at $30 a month. That sounds like a phenomenal opportunity to make a true difference. I want to thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so
And
much.
I want to thank everybody in Foxborough for listening. As Julie Rayberg, CEO of Worthy Village, and Amanda Lindgren, with the vice president and a teacher in Rockland.
Yep.
Fantastic. Love Rockland, I guess we do. Right? Even
Do
in
we?
Foxborough. Well, sure.
I don't know. Don't we
Absolutely.
play you guys a lot in
I-
sports or something? I don't know. I don't know what
I'm
is
a
sport.
referee. I don't pay attention. It's all good.
neutral.
But the important thing is that Worthy Village is a 501c3. They can use your support. It is tax deductible. And remember that all the money that you spend goes to the people that it's intended to help. What a great story. What a great mission. And I wish you the best. And I hope
Thank
that we here are able to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. On behalf of all of us here at Foxborough Central, we are so out of time. I want to leave you with this video clip from Worthy Village showing some of the good work they do. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll reach out to www.worthyvillage.org to make a difference. Take care, Foxborough.
I've always wanted to go on a volunteer trip.
It totally changed my perspective about my life back home, and it totally changed my perspective about what else is going on in the world.
Guatemala just has a different vibe.
It changed me definitely for the better.
Originally, I came here because I wanted to help. After being here, it turned to more than that.
You get so many different experiences in one trip. You can bring a water filter to someone, the next day you're building a school, the next day you're visiting an orphanage, the next day you're at a clinic handing toothbrushes out.
Families we visited, the living conditions were shocking to me. Seeing pictures and knowing other people went on this trip, still you don't understand it till you're there. When you smell the smells, when you actually see it in person and you're holding the hand of one of the kids or you see the dirt all over their faces.
We met with a few families. We got to really learn their story. So we actually bring the water filter in and explain the whole process to them. We use their water, fill it up, show them how it works, show them how to clean it.
All of the families were just so thankful. You just think these kids now are gonna grow up now drinking the clean water.
It's a perfect balance between work and relaxation and fun. Never feel tired or sick of doing what you're doing.
Our first free day, we got to zip line right down the lake, see the volcanoes while we're hanging there in the sky. It was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever done.
I went kayaking, which is so amazing because the lake is so beautiful. and just to be on it in a kayak is just mind-blowing.
Byron ceremony was a very different experience. We all got these candles of different colors, and while we were holding the candles, he was setting up this fire with flowers and putting different things into the fire when we got to go into the cave and light a candle in there. I'm glad we did that. That was kind of an experience I don't think I'll ever have again in my life.
That sort of eclectic experience is what Worthy Village can give you. It puts you in front of the issue. You talk to the people, you hands-on teach them how to do things. It's not just, serving food, it's building and teaching and learning.
Girls that I've met on the trip, they were all awesome, and I'm really glad that I got to meet them and spend time with them. I wouldn't have met them if I didn't come on this trip.
After 2 days, it felt like I've known these girls forever.
It was a really amazing experience, and I can't wait to come back. I fell in love with this place.
You put a bunch of like-minded people who say, I'm going to take a plane to Guatemala and volunteer. When you put people together like that, it's just instant connection and instant friendship.
This is life-changing. You have to do it.